Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Lance Sexton, John Riossi, good to see you both. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We got a lot of stuff. Hey, we want to start off with doing a little research, and we have a captive audience. So we had this discussion this morning, and I said, hey, let's ask the people who were the people who do this. And you can select more than one.
Well, Bob, I'm a LinkedIn person.
We don't have TikTok on there, Joseph. Even I know what TikTok is. Very good. Wow, Lance called it. Look at that, 50%. Yeah, Mr. Musk is down there, and good, 50%.
Hey, Bob, you mentioned TikTok. If they want to see some interesting PPP videos, go to TikTok.
Whoa.
There's some real fun stuff on there.
Number two, but what about for professional use? Notice Lance and John, that we carefully ignored this on the first one. We just wanted to know general use, and now we're going professional. All right, Lance, you're on a roll. What do you think?
Absolutely LinkedIn.
Oh! What about you, John? What do you do?
Well, LinkedIn certainly, but we do tweet, and maybe we'll spend less time tweeting after this poll.
Any other social media that I'm missing on there, John, that you guys use over at American Banker?
No, the most we use is Facebook, LinkedIn, probably YouTube for some of the live. I haven't done a lot of that, so I hadn't thought about that, but definitely I would imagine YouTube as well.
Yeah, so go back to the results. I want to see this.
We don't do TikTok.
So YouTube's 1 in 10. Yeah, LinkedIn by far. I mean, Facebook 1 in 10. Twitter doesn't even register. Reddit doesn't register. Finally, and this is what we really want to know, which ones does your institution block?
Bob, I'm Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit here. I can't access LinkedIn and YouTube.
Wow. Mr. Zuckerberg, well, he has his other issues. I don't think he cares about this poll. 50% of you block YouTube, Twitter. Interesting. And that's, yeah, very interesting, John. What do you think about those, John?
I'm surprised that anyone would block LinkedIn because there are a lot of times the one way I'm able to get in touch with people is through LinkedIn. And I imagine, others can find that useful as well.
Now, we certainly understand that a lot of people use these when they ask that follow-up question. So we understand that if you want to get that information, you just simply go on your phone. John, what do you, go ahead, Lance.
I was just going to say on LinkedIn, Bob, there's a lot of great information you can gain on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active posting SBA-related information on LinkedIn, and so are many others. So I'm with John. I can't believe they blocked LinkedIn.
Well, they don't want their people looking for jobs. I mean, that's
that could be it, Bob.
That's the problem. LinkedIn has that reputation.
One quick thing, if I could just mention this, I know our company has discussed this, and I'm sure it is just as relevant in banking as well. Is that a lot of people want probably their bankers, if you're a newspaper reporter, a media person, to have a brand, a personal brand, to amplify your work, whatever it is. And obviously social media, is a massive tool to help do that. And that's why going back, I can't believe people would block any of the platforms that could help you do that, be it LinkedIn, Twitter probably as well, Facebook. Those can be valuable tools.
John, you're absolutely right. And I know a lot of times bankers, when they work for a bank, they have problems doing that. But you're right. Pick what you want to be an expert in, and you can carve out that niche for you on any of these platforms. Obviously, it sounds like you want to go LinkedIn. And obviously, for lenders, you want to be in a situation where you can go to your potential customers. Where do they go?
And
if they
Bob,
want to get a hotel loan, where are they going? Go ahead, Lance.
Bob, I want to invite everybody on this call. Send me a request on LinkedIn. I only connect with bankers and people that work in the finance industry, but send me a request. Check it out.
And send a request to join the Coleman group. We're going to reactivate that, especially after all these numbers. We've been very poor in doing that. Well, very good. Well, thank you all for your response. That's very informative. What do we got here? Asset quality ratings. Let's. What are we talking about here, Joseph? Why do we have this? Help me out.
I'll jump in real quick.
Oh, is this your story, John?
Well, I asked Joseph if we could discuss asset quality a little bit.
There you go. Okay, I'm going to shut up. Go ahead, John.
He had, he was looking for a good, something to illustrate the point. But really, what I just wanted to mention, it's been earnings season. We're just at the end of earnings season, and hundreds and hundreds of publicly traded banks have published their earnings. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of banks that are privately held, so they haven't published their earnings yet, but their results are beginning to come online on the FDIC. And I think, the characterization that could be made of asset quality, of credit quality is overall, it's still exceedingly strong. You would think, as the economy shows signs of weakening, that, that would show up in bank results, but it really hasn't. And I've been looking at as many of the sort of significant SBA lenders as I can to gauge their credit quality as well. And it's tough to make an exact statement because a lot of them don't break out credit quality. Say they don't have a line item for SBA loans. Some do, but most don't. But the bottom line is they're doing extremely well. And if there were problems in SBA, it would impact their numbers. And so I guess it's a long-winded way of saying SBA loans seem to be performing extremely well so far. And I just wondered if, maybe Lance and others online could just sort of give an indication of how things are from your vantage point.
Well, in my discussions with bankers throughout the country, SBA loans have done extremely well over the last couple of years, John and Bob, but everyone is starting to see a few cracks in the mortar there. With all the rate increases, borrowers' payments are increasing as well, and you're starting to see a few stressed borrowers. So, I would say up until this point, nobody had to worry much about asset quality, but it is, and the Fed's talking about another rate increase, and we just had a discussion about this. We fully expect some of the customers that are struggling, another rate increase might be what puts them in a bad spot.
John, let me ask you a simple question: Is there any institutions SBA lending practices are putting it at a rating of 4 or 5?
Oh, I don't think so.
Right.
We haven't seen, and when that does happen, they don't sort of give reasons or even the names of the institutions in a lot of cases.
Okay.
But I don't think there are any right now. I don't think there are any crazy practices out there that are going to catch up with SBA lenders. I guess just like Lance said, I think the economy is going to catch up with SBA lenders, the macro economy, but that's not something that they can really hide from or do anything about. It's to a large degree out of their power. But I just thought it's interesting that up until now, this is, the economy, people are waiting for normalization to happen, seeing signs of it sort of creeping closer, but everything is still at a historical level, still quite good in the industry. And someone was talking about different types of recessions, but the upshot of that commentary I heard was that this recession might not have the big surge in credit quality problems that other recessions have had, certainly that the financial crisis had. I hope that's the case.
No, that's I agree with you 100% of that.
No, I think SBA lenders as a whole are doing things the right way. And it is a very different type of economic event. You know, the last time we had loans to individuals on pieces of property that were worth significantly less than what the loan amount was, and banks were not in great shape. This time banks are in a strong position. You know, I don't expect doom and gloom. I do expect a few borrowers to get in trouble with the rate increases over time. But banks are in a good position. So if they have a few assets that deteriorate in quality, they'll be able to handle it.
Yeah, and unlike the past recession where housing prices dropped and people stopped paying their mortgages, that's not happening this time around. The housing properties, they're holding their value. They're not cratering. So that's
one great point Lance made is the capital position of banks, especially coming out of PPP and all the money that they earned. I mean, it's possible, you know, you can speculate, this is speculation, but could this be the first recession where there aren't any bank failures? Because there haven't been any bank failures for quite a while, and it doesn't seem like there are any on the horizon, and that would be a very interesting phenomenon if we went through a cycle and there was a downturn and a recession, and the number of failures was zero.
You know, then I agree with you 100%. That is an interesting phenomena that we haven't had before. Joseph, bring up the NFIB story. And as John was saying, the economy is still the issue, and inflation and worker shortage continue to be the hardest challenges facing small business owners. Lance, this NFIB does great stuff in terms of their stats and their research. In the past, they've always been dealing with access to credit and those issues. They address them, but it's certainly not at the forefront as it has been in the past. What's your take on that?
Well, I do. I love seeing that small business owners expect better conditions, and I think they all probably are looking at, okay, how much more can the Fed do? And I think this next increase is probably the last. So, you know, if the Fed would leave the interest rates alone, then I think the economy will get on sounder footing and small businesses will thrive. And it's not like entrepreneurship, that's the whole nature of a small business owner. They know how to pivot and find another way to make it happen. So I love the fact that it indicates most small business owners are expecting improvement over the next 6 months.
John, it's interesting. They're talking about, I mentioned real estate, and small business entrepreneurs expect real estate prices to continue to increase.
I was thinking, you know, it's I probably don't know enough to make any national statements, but one thing I have read in reading all these earnings reports the last few weeks is there are some parts of the country that are absolutely hot, and it's not. It seems like it's a sound sort of surge, not like, say, Las Vegas and Atlanta in the early 2000s, where things got out of control and a lot of people paid for that. But two of the cities that come right to mind, and they're in the Midwest. One is Grand Rapids, which is, you know, they were talking about the housing market there is still very tight. And the other is Columbus, Ohio, where forget the company, but a semiconductor company is going to build a chip factory there. It's already a pretty solid economy. Obviously, there's Ohio State University right there. It's the capital of the state, so they're going to get even stronger. So you've got there, you know, a lot of things going for places like that. And there are others as well, but those two spring right to mind. And so that's the thing that impresses me is that there are a lot of hot spots around the country, if I use that term. So it's and in truth, even though people are forecasting a recession, I guess we're not really in one because the economy grew in the last quarter.
Yeah.
And unemployment remains low. I mean,
Yes.
And guys, I got my small business report yesterday on the river fishing with my brother. And we talked about supply chain issues, and my brother indicated that all the supply chain issues he's experienced over the last 24 months, it's pretty normal. He says it's normalized now. He was having to order months and months in advance, and he said now he can place an order today and get it in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Now he said freight costs are real high, but he said the supply chain issues he experienced, fortunately he has 4 warehouses that he has backup merchandise in, and he said now his warehouses are getting back close to full. And the supply chain issues are not the biggest factor. He said freight costs are what's wearing him out right now.
How's he adjust his pricing? By the way, he's a retail furniture store.
Yeah, he of course, you do have to adjust pricing. He indicated that it's kind of a mix of increasing prices and also eating a little bit of it, which is something he doesn't like. But he said prices have crept up as a result of freight charges. And but the thing he's happy about is he can get merchandise now.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to order 9 months in advance.
And retailers have to churn that merchandise. How many times does he have to turn it a year, Lance, for him to?
In a furniture store, he turns about 3.5 times a year.
Okay, and if you don't have inventory,
Yeah.
you can't do that, and so you're willing to pay a little bit more to make sure you can turn them. Very good. Hey, real quick, John, tell us what you're talking about. PPAC, Gladstone Financial, and what is their strategy with this niche lending product?
Well, PPAC, I'll first mention that PPAC Gladstone is an SBA lender, so
Right.
there's that connection. But this is not really an SBA product. They're also a very big into wealth management, into private banking, and this product fits very well into that niche because what it is aimed at people, entrepreneurs, small business owners would be one of them. A successful small business owner, I guess maybe medium-sized business owner. But people who have to get, for one reason or another, a significant amount of life insurance. Let's say $1 million policy or something along those lines. Well, those are expensive, and the premiums can be quite expensive. And these are people who generally can pay the premiums out of pocket, but they would prefer to use that money to do something else with, something more productive with. So they borrow to pay the premiums, and that's what premium finance does. It's for the bank. It's a great product because it's secured by the policy and generally, say, by securities and other things that the borrower owns. So it's well secured, and the people themselves are very good credit risks. They're successful business people and entrepreneurs. In PPAC's case, they mentioned they have a lot of real estate entrepreneurs who are wealthy in terms of land, but their money is tied up in their buildings, so they don't necessarily have or want to, put the kind of cash that life insurance costs to take it out of their business cycle and put it into life insurance premiums. So they borrow from the bank, and it works out well for everybody. That's just a very interesting line of business and a good fit
That is.
for them.
What I find fascinating about the story, John, is I know nothing about this type of financing, but there are a number of great opportunities for lenders, specifically SBA lenders. There's so many products that SBA has that you can take advantage as well in terms of export and cap lines. And this bank is obviously thinking very entrepreneurial, and there are a lot of product lines that lenders can come up with. So you may want to consider that in your 2023 plan. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate it, John, as always. Good stuff. Lance, we're going to be doing a webinar end of the month on hotel financing. That's off to a great start, so thank you for your support on that. Thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us today for today's episode. If you like today's content, hit that subscribe button to subscribe to our channel, and click that bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. Thank you again for joining us today and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time. Catch you next time.